What's going on, everybody? B. Scott here with you, and on today's show, we got your quarterback sit starts. I'm going to go through every single matchup, tell you the quarterbacks that I feel comfortable starting or sitting, and then obviously there'll probably be some streaming options, sprinkled in here and there. So anyway, keep it locked and loaded right here at the first 4 downs. What's going on, guys, and welcome back. As I mentioned in the preview, we're going to the quarterback sit starts ahead of week 4. Monday Night Football game was great. Dak Prescott, Jalen Hurts, both got it done in fantasy, even though Jalen Hurts didn't look so great, that offensive line. Man, it's terrible, but he still got it done for fantasy. But anyway, before we get to today's content, don't forget, like the video, subscribe, share, thumb, bell, all that good stuff. Comment. If there's a quarterback that you want to hear more about, drop in the comment section. I'll be glad to get back to you. If you got a sit-start question, flex option, any kind of questions for fantasy, drop in the comment section. I always answer it, so I'll be right with you as soon as possible. But anyway, let's get right to the action. Plain and simple. Thursday Night Football. Jacksonville Jaguars on the road against Cincinnati Bengals. Joe Burrow, a potential start here against Jacksonville teams giving up 300 yards passing to the quarterback position. Joe Burrow, 2+ passing touchdowns. Looking pretty good. Now, T. Higgins, hopefully he can come back for this game so they can get their full weapons and all the repertoire. But I like Joe Burrow here as a possible stream option, considering the Jacksonville team, they haven't been able to put it together. Now, the defense has played decently, but I like Joe Burrow. They have a great run game. It's going to be just a long day for these Jacksonville Jaguars. Bengals are favored by a lot, so I like Joe Burrow in this matchup. On the other side, Trevor Lawrence. I'm not starting him. At this point, I probably wouldn't even roster him because he's really struggling, turning the ball over a lot, and this Jacksonville team doesn't look like it's going to win very many football games. They're getting the run game going, which is what I like. James Robinson had 80 yards on the ground and a touchdown. It's starting to come together, but it still could be a few weeks away. And the Bengals defense has actually played very well. Cincinnati allowed just 4 touchdowns in 3 games to the quarterback so far. So Trevor Lawrence, obvious sit for me. Tennessee Titans on the road against the New York Jets. Ryan Tannehill. You could start him here or you could bench him. I got no problem either way. To be honest, if you have better options, I would possibly be looking to bench him here. No A.J. Brown, more than likely in this matchup. The pass catchers, who can you trust? I think Derrick Henry's just going to handle the day. You saw what Denver Broncos did against this New York Jets team. Teddy B only had to throw 250 passing yards, no touchdowns, because they got it done on the ground and with the defense. Now, Tennessee's defense is nothing compared to Denver, but still, I think the Jets are going to struggle here. They just haven't got an identity with that offense. Zach Wilson's turning the ball over too much. So Ryan Tannehill, could he have a big day here? Sure. The Jets secondary, it's not good, plain and simple. So he could. But I think Derrick Henry, they're going to lean on him a lot. You're going to see some play action. I think Tannehill could still come away in this game with 2, maybe 3 touchdowns. I don't know if he's necessarily going to need the 300 yards. Could have, 30, 40 rushing yards here. I think Tennessee Titans are going to just steamroll the Jets, plain and simple. So Tannehill, if you got a better option, I understand. He hasn't been great for fantasy last week. Kind of got back on track, had a couple touchdowns, so that's good for him. But if you got another option that's better, then just start him. It could be a day in which they just lean on the run game, and Tannehill doesn't have to do much for this victory. And then Zach Wilson, you're not starting him. You're not even rostering him in most leagues, maybe in Dynasty, but right now you're not starting Zach Wilson. He's turning the ball over at a high rate. They just haven't got that offense clicked, plain and simple. Elijah Moore with the concussion. Is Jamison Crowder going to come back? None of this offense really scares me at all, so Zach Wilson is an obvious sit. Kansas City on the road against Philadelphia Eagles. You're starting Patrick Mahomes. You drafted him number 1 overall as your quarterback. You're going to be starting him on a weekly basis. It doesn't matter the opponent. Philadelphia Eagles just got destroyed by the Dallas Cowboys. We've seen it from our own eyes. Dak Prescott didn't have to do too much. Played pretty well. Got it done. I think Patrick Mahomes, you're going to be firing him up no matter what. Set it and forget it. Jalen Hurts, you're going to play him here. Kansas City has given up a lot of points, period, especially to the quarterback position. So you're starting Jalen Hurts, especially with the rushing upside. And even if they're getting whooped by the Chiefs, this over-under's high. They're projecting a shootout. Jalen Hurts, to be honest, is probably a top 5 to 7 option this week at the quarterback position. Must start. You're starting Mahomes. You're starting Jalen Hurts. Carolina Panthers on the road against the Dallas Cowboys. This is a tough spot. You're probably starting Dak Prescott here. Now, Carolina Panthers, their defense has been great. Sacked quarterback, most in the league. They've just been very, very good. And so going into Dallas, it's going to be tough for the Carolina Panthers. It's going to be a tough spot for Dak Prescott. But they have been very good against the running back position, so maybe they lean on Dak Prescott a little bit more. You saw Carolina, J.C. Horn, broken foot. He's going to be out. I don't know how much that's going to play in the factor of that secondary. If they can keep Dak Prescott upright, then I think he could have a good day here. You obviously drafted Dak Prescott as a top 5 to 7 quarterback option. You're probably going to be starting him here against Carolina defense that is good. Don't get me wrong. So it could be a tough spot, but I think Dak is going to be able to get it done. He hasn't been that top scoring fantasy producer just yet, but that's because the defense, the Dallas Cowboys, has really started to pick it up. So you're starting Dak Prescott. And then on the flip side, Sam Darnold. In my opinion, this is a sit this week. You saw what they did to the Philadelphia Eagles. Jalen Hurts, made it work in garbage time, but I think Carolina defense is going to keep this game closer than what that game did to get out of hand, where Jalen Hurts really picked up his fantasy points, his production late in that game. But Sam Darnold, albeit has played great through the first 3 weeks, is not a good spot for him, in my opinion. Without Christian McCaffrey this week, we'll see what Chuba Hubbard can do for this offense. It's just not the same dynamic as a player. And then Trayvon Diggs has played outstanding, plain and simple. And he's probably going to see a lot of DJ Moore here. Can Sam Darnold really lead this team and lean on guys possibly like Terrace Marshall Jr., Robbie Anderson, Chuba Hubbard, Royce Freeman? Are these guys going to be able to produce at a high enough level where Sam Darnold's going to have a good fantasy day? Dallas Cowboys through 3 weeks, 2+, have had 2 interceptions in every single game. So I don't really like Sam Darnold as a stream this week. I think the Dallas Cowboys defense is for real. I think Jalen Hurts got his production based on garbage time, plain and simple. And I don't think there's going to be a lot of garbage time here with Carolina. I think it's going to be a tight, close-knit game, but I just don't like Sam Darnold to start this week. New York Giants on the road against the New Orleans Saints. I'm not starting any quarterback, plain and simple. You're not starting Daniel Jones. Last week in a smash spot, he duds you. His pass catchers are all banged up. Going against the Saints defense that is legit when the secondary is healthy. Marshawn Lattimore, Davenport, those guys make the difference on defense, and they were healthy, ready to play. You saw with the New England Patriots, Malcolm Jenkins with a pick 6. Their defense is still very, very good. And the Giants offense I cannot trust on the road, in New Orleans. No thank you. No Daniel Jones, plain and simple. On the flip side, Jameis Winston, you just can't trust him, period. I think the offense is really going to have to run through Kamara. This is what we've talked about, honestly, just for the Saints to be productive this season on offense. It's got to run through Kamara. You've seen it last week against the Saints, had a decent day, got it done on the ground. Taysom Hill's going to mix and match in some of those packages. You saw with the touchdown. I don't like Jameis Winston in this matchup. Against the Giants defense, it's still above average, plain and simple. So no Daniel Jones, no Jameis Winston. I'm not starting a quarterback in this matchup. Cleveland Browns on the road against the Minnesota Vikings. Kirk Cousins should be a smash spot here. He's been great through the first 3 weeks, plain and simple. Playing very, very well, averaging 300 passing yards, 2+ touchdowns a week. Going against Cleveland defense that really picked it up, sacked Justin Fields 9 times just this last week. So, yeah, you got to weather the storm a little bit, but I think Kirk Cousins will be fine here at home. I could see Cleveland, honestly, coming into Minnesota and really beating them, to be honest. But I like Kirk Cousins in this matchup. I think he's going to get it done for fantasy. If you got to stream him or, he's your starter on a weekly basis, it's a decent spot here, considering Cleveland's secondary still hasn't been able to put it together. On the flip side, Baker Mayfield, possible stream here. Now, through the first 3 weeks, he just hasn't had to do too much for that offense. They're hurting at pass catchers. But OBJ, you saw last week, played pretty effectively. Minnesota, susceptible in that secondary. The tight ends, hopefully they can find the end zone. Baker can make some plays with his arm. I think it's a potential stream here considering shootout potential. This game, 53 over and under. That tells me they expect a lot of points to be had. So Baker Mayfield is a stream option for me this week against the decimated Minnesota secondary and linebacking core. So Baker Mayfield, possible stream for me. And Kirk Cousins, he's a start. Detroit Lions on the road against Chicago Bears. No, thank you. I don't want any of these quarterbacks. Jared Goff did not look good last week. You're gonna see it. The offense is okay. They're gonna have to run this game, honestly, through the running backs. DeAndre Swift, TJ Hawkinson will be just fine, but I can't start Jared Goff in this matchup. Chicago Bears defense, albeit lost to the Rams, but they've played pretty well on defense. They've gotten it done. The front line's looking good. Khalil Mack's getting after the quarterback. So Jared Goff's an obvious sit. On the flip side, is Justin Fields going to start? Is it going to be Nick Foles? Even if it's one or the other, I'm not trusting it in this matchup. Detroit defense is not great by any means. And the Chicago Bears, I think, can exploit that. But I don't know if I can just throw Justin Fields in there another week after that dud that he put on, the bad performance just last week. Albeit, it was against the tougher defense on the road. I understand. But I can't just trust Justin Fields this week. So no starts for me. No Justin Fields. No Jared Goff. Houston Texans on the road against Buffalo Bills. You're starting Josh Allen. Really caught fire. 5 touchdowns yesterday. Looks back to his normal self. Plain and simple. Albeit, where is Stephon Diggs? But anyway, hopefully they get that rapport back and going. Going against Houston team, the secondary, or the Houston defense overall, has actually looked better than I thought. But on the road against the Buffalo Bills, no thank you. I'm taking Josh Allen all day long. It's an obvious one. 17-point favorite at home. Davis Mills, there's no way you're starting him here. To be honest, Davis Mills doesn't look half bad. He reads his progressions well. He doesn't get startled in the pocket. The problem is he doesn't see those big hits coming. Took a couple of them once again just last week. But I'm not starting him this week. I can't really trust him against the Buffalo secondary that's been great. The Buffalo defense overall has been outstanding. So you're sitting Davis Mills, obviously. You're starting Josh Allen. Indianapolis Colts on the road against Miami Dolphins. I don't like a quarterback in this matchup. Jacoby Brissett played okay for fantasy-wise, but I can't trust him here. The Colts defense, I don't know what's going on there. And then Carson Wentz. It's just not looking pretty. They lose Quentin Nelson on the offensive line. This game just spells, I want no part of it. It could be a very ugly game. There's going to be some fantasy producers, but for the quarterback's sake, I'm sitting Carson Wentz, and I'm not starting Jacoby Brissett, plain and simple. No quarterbacks I like in this matchup. Washington football team on the road against the Atlanta Falcons. Matt Ryan. I don't really like him at all, to be honest. Has not looked good through the first 3 weeks, albeit he had 300 yards, 3 touchdowns against Tampa Bay defense. That's the secondary's decimated. But this Washington football defense is still good. They just haven't really put it together. They've had a lot of holes. The secondary's been chewed up a little bit, but that front's good enough to get after Matt Ryan. So no way I'm starting Matt Ryan in this matchup at home, even though he's going to end up lighting up Washington football team, for no reason. But I'm sitting Matt Ryan. On the flip side, Taylor Heinicke, a potential stream option here. Now, Daniel Jones lost a lot of pass catchers. I think that hurt his offense, and they leaned on Saquon Barkley a lot. Taylor Heinicke, in 2 straight weeks, has been effective for fantasy-wise. Now, yes, they lost the game to Buffalo Bills, got blown out, but he still finished the day with 3 touchdowns. Week before that, had over 300 passing yards and 2 touchdowns. So Heinicke is an option as a stream here this week against an Atlanta defense that's still giving up a lot of fantasy points for the quarterbacks. They've given up 8 passing touchdowns with 0 interceptions. So I like Heinicke as a possible sneaky stream here. And then obviously I'm sitting Matt Ryan. Seattle Seahawks on the road against San Francisco 49ers. Russell Wilson, you're firing him up here. Even though he's actually not been that great against 49ers, especially on the road. 5th most fantasy points to quarterbacks 49ers have given up, but never thrown more than 261 passing yards in his career against these 49ers, 18 games. And then on top of that, has just 1 game in San Francisco with a total of 3 touchdowns in 9 games on the road. So you're starting Russell Wilson on a weekly basis. He's been good. You got to be careful with Tyler Lockett. If that injury holds him out, I could see a long day. I could see a lot of running in this game, to be honest. Chris Carson has been effective. You got to worry about him possibly having a little injury concern too. So you got to keep an eye on that. Russell Wilson, you're going to be starting him here against the Niners defense that has looked good at times and bad at times. You saw it on Sunday Night Football. Played well in spots and didn't play so well. Considering the last 30 seconds, they gave up the game. But Russell Wilson, you're starting here. If you draft him, you're starting quarterback. He should still have a decent day. On the flip side, Jimmy Garoppolo, just not fantasy relevant just yet. He still has some okay days here, but I can't really trust him, on a weekly basis as a starter for fantasy. So I'm sitting Jimmy Garoppolo, and I'm starting Russell Wilson. Arizona Cardinals on the road against the Los Angeles Rams. You're starting Matthew Stafford. To be honest, he's in the running with the MVPs, in my opinion. Matthew Stafford, Kyler Murray, Derek Carr, Tom Brady. These are guys that are absolutely destroying it. And Stafford just put it on the Tampa Bay Bucks, albeit we know the defense just really hasn't been there, especially in the secondary. Going against the Arizona defense, that's kind of Jekyll and Hyde. Who knows what's going to show up? Are they going to play elite? Are they going to get those turnovers? Are they going to, get the sacks? Or are they just going to lay over and give up a bunch of points? So I like the Rams in this matchup. Stafford, must start for me. He's averaging 314 yards per game through these 3 games. Played well, plain and simple, so you're starting Stafford. On the flip side, Kyler Murray. This is a tough spot, to be honest, but if you have Kyler Murray, you got to start him. The rushing upside, the potential to get a rushing touchdown. Now, yes, he might struggle through the air against this great Rams secondary, but you got to start him. I mean, it's plain and simple. There's nothing around it. He's averaging 335 passing yards a game. You got to start Kyler Murray. So you're starting Kyler Murray, you're starting Matthew Stafford. Pittsburgh Steelers on the road against the Green Bay Packers. You're starting Aaron Rodgers. Has been playing pretty well. Played good. Comeback victory against San Francisco. Put it on him. Devontae Adams. There's no answer for this. Plain and simple. So obviously you're starting Aaron Rodgers. Pittsburgh's not going to be able to defend it. Pittsburgh's defense is kind of decimated with injuries. It's already started to happen. TJ Watt missing the game. So we'll see if he can go in this game. Help bolster that pass rush. Because honestly, I think the front line of the Green Bay Packers has still struggled a little bit. So we'll see if TJ Watt can give it a go. But that's going to play a factor. I still like Aaron Rodgers in this matchup at home. On the flip side, Ben Roethlisberger, I think it's just time to hang him up, plain and simple. He doesn't look good. The Pittsburgh offense as a whole is going to struggle. They've struggled a lot, period. They can't run the football effectively. Najee Harris, I want to say 45 total yards is the most he's had in a game this season. Just hasn't been good. the whole offense. So I'm sitting Ben Roethlisberger and I'm starting Aaron Rodgers. Baltimore Ravens on the road against the Denver Broncos. You're starting Lamar Jackson. The floor of the rushing upside is the reason you start him on a weekly basis anyway. That's why you drafted him as high as you did. But Denver, giving up the second fewest fantasy points to quarterbacks. But how much weight does that hold? They face Daniel Jones, Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson. So this is the real test for a Denver defense that everyone's, kind of brought up as being this elite defense. And I'm one of them. I think the Denver Broncos defense is for real. But this is the test facing the Baltimore Ravens, a team that can run the football, can, thrive off the play action pass, as long as Marquise Brown maybe makes those catches, but anyway, you're starting Lamar Jackson, plain and simple in this matchup. It is tough. On the road against the Denver defense, it's good, but you're starting him. On the flip side, Teddy Bridgewater. If you want to stream him or start him, I understand, but be wary. The Baltimore defense has played a little bit better over the coming weeks. The secondary's gotten a little healthier. You see Jimmy Smith out there, so that's good for them. Teddy Bridgewater really hasn't been challenged through the first 3 weeks. Didn't have a passing touchdown last week. Hasn't turned the ball over at all on the season, but this is the true test for the Denver Broncos team. 3-0 in their division. Can they really prove their worth and show that they can hang with the upper echelon of teams? So they got to get this win against Baltimore Ravens. Bridgewater, if you want to start him, I understand. He could still have some value. I could see a lot of running the football heavy in this game on both sides of the ball, but Bridgewater, possible stream option. If you got better options, I would look elsewhere. Tampa Bay on the road against the New England Patriots. It's exciting. Tom Brady, back to New England. You're starting Tom Brady, plain and simple. New England defenses look good. Honestly, they gave up a lot of points to the Saints, but did they really? Saints got a defensive touchdown. They scored 21 points. So you're still okay with starting Tom Brady no matter what. Going back home, it's going to be exciting just to see. You're starting Tom Brady at this point every single week, even in a tough loss that they just came off of against the Los Angeles Rams team. Going to be breaking the passing yards record in this game, so that's going to be exciting. Fire up Tom Brady. Mac Jones, you saw he had 2 or 3 interceptions yesterday. Didn't necessarily look good. The pressure got to him, and that's really what caused the mistakes. If the Tampa front can actually get that pressure on him, no JPP yesterday against the Los Angeles Rams. You kind of saw they just had their way with that Tampa Bay defense. I don't know if Mac Jones that's going to happen here, but I'm not really starting Mac Jones on a weekly basis because I can't really trust it yet. He hasn't really shown us a reason to be starting him. So you're obviously sitting Mac Jones, starting Tom Brady. And last, but certainly not least, division leaders. You got the Las Vegas Raiders battling out with the Los Angeles Chargers. They're probably going to be fighting for first place here for that division lead, and it's going to be great. I'm excited. But Justin Herbert, you're obviously starting him. 300-plus passing yards through 3 games. Every single game. Coming off 4-touchdown game against the Chiefs defense that doesn't look good. The Raiders, they can get after the quarterback. We'll see, because honestly the Chargers front line has been really, really good through the first 3 weeks. So if they can get the pressure to Justin Herbert, can that be effective enough to slow him down? Either way, you draft the Justin Herbert as a starter, you're starting him. Plain and simple, this is a great spot for it. On the flip side, Derek Carr has been outstanding. I want to say leading the league in passing yards, averaging over 400 passing yards per game and 2+ touchdowns per game. So obviously, Derek Carr, you could be starting him here. It is a tough matchup against a good Los Angeles Chargers secondary. Held Patrick Mahomes just to 260 passing yards. So Derek Carr, if you got him and you picked him up and you're excited, this is a tough spot for me to be starting him here. But I still think he might be able to get it done in fantasy. As long as he doesn't make too many mistakes, I think he'll be just fine. So Derek Carr is a possible start for me this week, depending. I mean, I wouldn't start him over some of the studs, but if you got to start him, I understand. And then Justin Herbert is an obvious start. So anyway, that's been every single matchup, all the quarterbacks that you could be looking for as starters, sitters, streamers, whatever you want. If you got a question about any quarterback that I mentioned, drop in the comment section. I'll be glad to get back to you. So once again, like the video, subscribe, share, thumb bell, all that good stuff, and comment. Any comments, I'll take them all. So once again, for the first 4 downs, it's been B. Scott, and I'm out.